Northland has such a wide variety of jigs. There's a bunch of different lineups. There's tungstens, there's stand-ups. They've got a bunch of new cool, more bass style jigs coming out. But one lineup that I think gets a little bit appreciated is the Deep-Vee lineup. It's such a versatile lineup. There's a bunch of different styles of jigs in that lineup, and it's just like a good utility do-it-all type jig lineup. So I'm gonna pass it off to Brad. He's gonna talk a little bit about the Deep-Vee lineup from top to bottom, a few of the interesting different jigs that he likes to use. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I'm gonna pass it off to Brad.
Hey guys, we're here to dive into the Deep-Vee series from Northland. And you guys say, well, what a big deal, they're all jigs, right? Well, the reason why they've expanded the Deep-Vee line so much is because it was launched, it was an instant success. Guys literally filled their boxes with them, and they did that because they caught fish. It was designed mainly as a live bait jig, and then guys figured out that it worked equally as well with plastics. And the main reason is just that head design there. By the way, this is a Deep-Vee spin, I'll get into that. But the platform is so robust, and it crosses over all the jig platforms very, very well. So I'm gonna kind of dive in and give you the 411 on when I use all the Deep-Vees, and then when, and all the different kinds. So I'm gonna dive into, this is the Deep-Vee Bucktail, okay? I really like this guy in those colder water periods, and I do exclusively use this just like this, or with a fathead or a shiner on there. Now you may say, why a fathead? Now a fathead, because it has this good bucktail on it, you can cover up that you can get away with using fatheads instead of shiners, because your attractant and your hair and your undulating of the fur is all right there, and you put a little bit of meat on the back of that, and that is your really, really, really good go-to cold water jig. Or if you're just starting to cross that threshold of snap jigging, add a little of that to it. So there is your Bucktail Deep-Vee. And then I'll go into the Deep-Vee Flashtail. Okay, so this guy right here, there's a reason I was super big proponent of this jig. A, we needed a Deep-Vee with a lot more flash on it, but without a blade. So I was like, this guy here fishes equally as well with bait or without, in my opinion, right? This is a cool water deal. I've gone out to Green Bay and actually just whacked fish on this. Mille Lacs, you can whack fish on this. This you can use with the minnow, a plastic, or just like this, okay? When all you have to do, if you're fishing large pods of fish and you need to get a jig in there, get the fish's attention, catch a few, this is gonna be your jig. It's got a lot of flash, and again, that same Deep-Vee head that gets it down there quick. That's what the whole line has, it gets down there quick. So this guy and the Bucktail, kind of similar, cold water-ish jigs. This one I will use up in warm water and deep water too, snap jigging, but for sure it has a place in your tackle box. So that's for the, if you want to call it hair, those are the Deep-Vee hair jigs and tinsel jigs. And then I'm going to dive into the Deep-Vee metallic. So came out with the metallic series because, I mean, just look at the gold on there. That's why they need that. Like, that is a super, super glistening gold. That's what everyone wants in a gold jig with the Deep-Vee head. This guy with the spot tail shiner on it on Mille Lacs has caught more walleyes the last few years than any other jig. Yes, this color, and with the spot tail shiner, small sucker, or a fathead. This is my utility jig. If you go into my boat and say, hey, I want to see you, Brad, let me show you all my Deep-Vees, I have twice as many these than anything else other than, or twice as many Deep-Vees as any other jig in my boat. So this is live bait and plastics, okay? Paddle tails, worms, whatever you're on, that Deep-Vee head again is really come to be my favorite head design on jigs. So that is basically my #1 jig that I go to, is that Deep-Vee and the tungsten. Now we get to the Deep-Vee spin. This guy I absolutely love. A, because of the head shape, and a lot of times you need to add that extra attractant. So what was missing in the Deep-Vee line was a jig you can cast out and it had hang time. So what I call hang time is when you rip it and that jig comes up, and when it falls, that blade spins down and flashes, right? So you guys have all been jigging or snap jigging or even just bouncing jigs off the bottom, they usually hit it on the paws, right? Well, think about that. That jig is trundling down and it's getting all their attention, and then it pauses with either a plastic or a live minnow on the back, and they just come up and crunch it. So this guy, whether you're snap jigging and you're trying to get that free fall, to get that flash, to get them attracted into you, or you're literally just looking to be as loud and as flashy as possible when you throw a jig into a school of fish, the Deep-Vee spin with either plastic, shine, or fathead on there is going to do that. Now the other thing, when you're jig trolling, okay, when you're jig trolling at 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, that spins this blade. So literally, if you're on a little bit, if the walleyes are a little bit off, you can jig troll this guy at just say 0.8, 0.9 with a minnow on the back of it, and just hold it. Get it off the bottom, just hold it. If you guys are fishing with kids or guys that are new to walleye fishing, right here, this is your literally throw it out and do nothing jig. Just keep it off the bottom and you'll catch walleye with either plastics or live bait.
Next up, Brad is gonna go a little bit deeper into the flash tail lineup and why it's actually one of the most interesting glow style jigs on the market right now.
So the Deep-Vee flash tail has 4 colors that glow. And the cool part is that's not just the head. So that is the tinsel, the flash that glows too. So if you were to take that head and that tinsel, that tail, and lay it all out, you'd have like 3 square inches of glow. So that's really worth noting, especially if you're pitching jigs or, you know, jerking jigs in dark water. I know when the creeks blow out on Mille Lacs, this guy right here with the plastic on the back of it is my go-to. And the reason I'm catching fish is not from the flash, it's from the glow, because those fish are able to see it. And if you need to step that up, you can do that by just quite simply adding, the more white you add to these, the more glow it's going to have. So keep that in mind. If you want to really get zappy out there and you really want to glow a lot, this guy right here is going to be your guy. And then you can kind of adjust that in the color line going down. So especially like Lake of the Woods, where we've thrown tinsel on a lot of those reefs out there, Winnie works, Leech works, Mille Lacs works, just kind of remember that. And in dark or stained water, that glow really helps that jig a lot. So whether you're using a plastic, a minnow on there, remember, glow equals more fish, especially in stained water.
Next up, Brad is gonna explain what makes the metallic Deep-Vee jigs different than a lot of the other metallic jigs on the market.
A lot of jigs that look metallic are actually paint. What you want is plated, and all these are plated. If you can tell by the shine it gives off, it's right there, it's flashy, it's whatever. And you have your orange, you have your chartreuse, you have your gold, and you have your purple to pretty much match any situation where you're gonna need a metallic. Like Mille Lacs, we throw a lot of the chartreuse and gold. The orange does play ball a little bit in the fall. Like in the fall, if you look around my boat, you will always find a few of these hanging off the carpet of it, just because when the crayfish start to molt, they really like that extra flash. So keep that in mind with the metallics on there. Any good jig line, you need a really good line on the metallics too, and they can't be painted metallic because the paint will fall off. They need to be plated. Plated means it stays on the jig.
Well, that's about all we got for you in this one. Special thanks to Brad for sharing a bunch of good information, just breaking down the whole Deep-Vee lineup. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it's a really versatile lineup. It's just a good utility jig lineup, a lot of different uses and a lot of different styles. So if you enjoyed this video and you found any of this information useful, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.